Welcome to Virtualize Everything. So this video is going to be the start of a multi-part series on Proxmox 8. If you don't already know, Proxmox 8 released a few weeks ago, and we've done a couple of videos already showing you the new text-based installer and how to do an upgrade from Proxmox 7 to Proxmox 8. Well, this video is going to be an update for all of Proxmox 8 on basically how to get started and use it. So with that, let's get on to the installation process of Proxmox 8. And the first thing we're going to need to do is make our installation media. I'm here today on a Mac, and really the process is the same no matter if you're on a Mac, a Windows, or a Linux with the software I've chosen. So we're going to use Banana Etcher. Banana Etcher is a really nice, easy tool for turning an ISO image into a bootable USB drive, and it comes to us from the Raspberry Pi world. It was one of the ones that was used pretty early on when Raspberry Pis first released. So Etcher's available for Mac, Windows, and Linux, and I'm not going to show you the installation process, but instead we are going to walk through how to use Banana once it's installed. The reason I'm not showing the installation process is generally it's going to be different between distros of Linux and Mac or Windows, so it really doesn't make a lot of sense to demonstrate that depending on what operating system you're on. Etcher.banana.io if you want to download it, and there's everything right there. Here's Banana Etcher all loaded up, and I've already attached a drive to my system, so the first thing we're going to do is use our Proxmox ISO. Now, I've already pre-downloaded that because since the release of Proxmox 8, the Proxmox website's been pretty well hammered, and downloads can take quite a while. I think that file took me about an hour to retrieve. But here at the Proxmox website, you can see we're going to click on downloads, and then all of our downloads show up here. And that's great, but the easiest way to do it is to filter, and we can filter by going to Proxmox Virtual Environment and then going to ISO images, and we're going to get a bunch of ISO images. If you want to use a torrent, you probably will get faster download speeds, and you have an option to do that. I chose to use the ISO, and I just press download and work through the process to get my file. So now that we have the file, let's go ahead and we're just going to drag it up to flash from file, and now we can go ahead and select our target disk. I've already inserted a USB flash drive right here. I think you need to be greater than 8 gigs if I remember right. This one happens to be a 32 gig model. They're quite cheap at Walmart or other big box stores like that. So we'll just go ahead and select it, and then we're going to hit bash, and the process will start. Now here on a Mac, it's going to ask me for my system password. This may be different if you're on Linux or Windows, but we'll give it our system password, and it's going to make the drive. When this drive's all finished, it'll tell us and give us the option to eject it. At that point, I am not going to cover what you need to do next, but you're going to plug that drive into a USB socket on your system and configure your system to BIOS boot. So once your boot from USB is configured inside of your BIOS, you can go ahead and boot it up. If you need help getting into your BIOS, you probably want to look at using a delete and an F1 key. I like to rapidly tap that during the boot process. Some systems also use an F11 or F12 command to get to a boot selector screen, and that worked pretty well as well. All right, I will be back with the installation process here in just a minute after this drive's created, and I'll show you the rest of the steps you need to do to get Proxmox installed on your system.
Okay, so you've made your USB drive, inserted it into your system, configured your BIOS to boot from the USB drive, and then rebooted your system, and you're at this screen. Now, as we mentioned before, this is virtualized, so you won't have that URL bar on top, but this makes it a lot easier. So what do you do from here to install Proxmox? You have 3 options here, and which option should you choose? Well, some of these options depend a little bit on your system, and this console VE install is something that's been newly added to Proxmox 8, and it's to help with some limitations that are presented to users on certain systems, both both newer and older. But generally, we choose this graphical install, so you can use your keyboard's up and down arrow to move around and press enter to select the graphic installer. If you do need to use the console installer or the text-based installer, VE does have another video that has already been released at the creation of this guide. So go ahead and press enter for the graphic installer. Now, because I am virtualized, I'm getting this error message. But if you're getting this error message, it should come as warning, and you should follow this note here and go in and check your BIOS and verify that your CPU does support virtualization. A lot of newer CPUs come by default with it disabled in the BIOS, or I should say newer motherboards come default with it disabled BIOS, and you have to go in and on. I'm going to hit OK right now to simp past it, but you should probably go ahead, shut your system down, and work through this if you're seeing this message. All right, so now we need to read through our EULA, and I'm scrolling to the bottom. You actually don't have to scroll to the bottom if you don't want to. It is a good idea to through this. Now I'm hitting agree, and this is the window where we start to select some of our drive configurations, our RAID configurations, such. Now for me, it shows target drive of 30 gig and that it's a QEM hard drive. I'm virtual after all. It'll show your size, it will be different, and it's also going to show your hard brand here in cases. So you can identify drive you're installing to if you have computer. Now if you hit options here and look at file systems, you can see that there are a bunch of other file systems here. ext4 is the default, and that uses a file system. We'll get more to that later on in this video and talk a little bit more about some of the other things, but basically it helps us organize and store our images and create snapshots for backups and some of the other features for Prox. You can, however, do this in ButterFS or ZFS if you want setup. Now, we're not going to do a RAID setup in this drive, but know that ZFS 0 is pretty similar to RAID 0. All your drives are mirrored. We have one single drive of redundancy, and that's your traditional ZFS here. RAID 10, of course, is a hybrid, and so forth for ButterFS. All right, I'm going to select ext4 because that's what I plan on using for this installation, and OK on. If you need to configure yours a little differently, remember you put the option so. Next, we're going to add country information, time zone information, our layout. Now this is your system password. This password is whatever password you plan on using for the log of your Proxmox system. I believe I read something, and I haven't tested it, that Proxmox 8 does require a Prox password with numbers, but you should be aware Proxmox does require, for a lot of the features inside of the web interface, the username of root. Now, if you were to have some incident where somebody got in, root accounts are some of the most commonly used passwords as a common account on a system. So make sure you set a good, strong password to at least slow that hacker down. Now at this place, you can set an email address. I've had little use for this email address. Even when I'm entered one correctly, didn't seem to get it work. So today I just remove the invalid and I put some and I'm able to move step without email address. You may find that you want to use an email address later on, or that you're able to get it guide. And you can enter your address here and do that. I've never required it after installation Proxmox myself, and I use other mod tools, so that's that. Hitting next, we can go ahead and we see our default host name is at local domain. You can change this as you need. I'm leaving mine here at pv@main. You can also set your IP address, your gateway, and your DNS server here, as well as hitting this drop down. If you had multiple managed interfaces, you could select that. I am going to leave this information in here, but note that after this moment, this IP address will become static. So you may want to move it outside of your DHCP range. For me, this will work for this demonstration. So I'm going to hit next. Again, you're asked to verify this information. It all looks good to me, so I'm all. and the installation process for Proxmox. We will be back once this Proxmox system reboots to talk more about what we're looking at that point.
All right, so now that we have Proxmox fully installed, we're presented with a screen that looks like this. Now, we could go ahead and actually log here by entering root and the password that we set up during the installation process, and that gets us logged in. It works fairly well, but there's a better way to generally work Proxmox, and that's to take note of this IP address here. And there's some key elements that we want to note here if you're new to doing this type of thing. And that's the fact that it says HTTPS and not HP. This is basically a secure version of HTTP that uses some scripts. That's a very general description. And then everything after this colon here of 8006 is also important. That's the port number on which the web browser is going to communicate with the web server to view the web page. So with that, let's switch over to our desktop, and you can see that I have the Proxmox web interface for the other server running. But let's open a new tab and try to log into the web interface for this particular server. So we can go https://192.168.532, which is the IP address to this particular Proxmox server. And then we have to put that colon in 8006 in order to be able to server or web interface. And there we go. We can log in again with root and that password we set up during. So now that we're here into Proxmox, we can begin to wander around and look at things. Here in the next video, we'll look at the process for adding the no subscription repository and some of the other configuration steps that are taken on a new Proxmox install. If you enjoyed this video, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing, and hitting the bell notification so you can see more useful videos on virtualization and other computer-related topics, and maybe a little bit of information about my cars from time to time because, well, I like cars. Anyways, with that, we're going to conclude this video, and have a good evening, and I hope to see you for the next one.